All right, hey guys, I wanted to come on and just do a little video this morning. I'm going to talk about a subject that is totally unrelated to skincare or anything like that, but I just wanted to share something with you. So for those of you that have bangs, you know that bangs are, one of those things where it's just a day-to-day thing. And, when you wake up and your bangs are just not cooperating, you can wet them down and then you blow dry them left and right to get them to kind of fall back in the middle. But lately, I've noticed that I don't have to wet them most of the time. I can just do it dry because I hate having to take my blow dryer out and all that stuff. Like, what a pain in the butt. And because I never wash my hair, and I very rarely get it wet. I only get it wet like when I go swimming, and then I'll come home and rinse off, of course. And when I do jump in the shower, I don't shower all that often either. I don't like getting my skin wet. But I do, I do every now and then, and I, kind of mildly exfoliate my skin. And every now and then I will rinse my hair with just water. I don't do it very often, like hardly ever, but I never wash it. I don't wash it with shampoo. I don't use conditioner. I don't put styling products on my hair, anything like that. But I've noticed that if I do it with just the brush dry, it does kind of settle it down a little bit. And then, of course, I kind of flick them out of my eyes. It's really hard for me to find that sweet spot for my bangs where I can keep them all down without them being in my eyes, without them being too short. So I'm always playing around with the length. And then if I cut them and I feel like they're perfect, they're only perfect for a very short time. So bangs are a little tricky, but I like bangs. I like myself in bangs. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about skincare today. I am going to talk about other things. And this might be a heavy subject for some people, and I know some people don't like, my cats, sorry, don't like to talk about heavy things, but that's what most of my channel is about. So I'm going to talk about something kind of heavy today. So there's a few things I want to talk about. I want to talk about the whole missing scientist thing, because it seems like that's getting a lot of airtime at the moment. And I'd like to just share some of my perspectives on it. And I'd also like to share some of my perspectives on the agenda, because it's all related. Now, anyone, who's looking has discovered that all of the scientists that are missing have something in common, okay? And I don't mean just working for NASA, okay? NASA is a branch of the military. Let's not pretend that it's not. Let's not pretend that, it's just a government agency that has contracts with the military, all right? I've already made videos on this, so I'm not going to get into it again today. Just do your research, okay? And for those of you who are unaware, NASA primarily is part of genome research, all right? Yeah, think gene editing, CRISPR technology, all that stuff, okay? We have it hammered down into us that they are into space exploration, okay? Why would anyone who can't even figure out this planet and how to live on it in a sane and reasonable way be interested in other planets? Just think about this for a second, okay? Just think about this. Why are we so obsessed with space that they are stealing our money in amounts that my brain cannot even fathom, okay? When we hear the word trillions, billions, and, we can't grasp that kind of money, and most people just keep going about their day, all right? And they take more and more of our money for stupid shit, all right? Now, Is it cool to know about the sun? Is it cool to, like, you know, whatever, I guess? But you can be sure that they have been monitoring the sun and what is going on with the sun, because they are trying to block out what is happening right now with their dome shield. They say it's for missiles. Bullshit. I don't believe that for 1 second. Because they are trying to lock us down into a digital prison, right? And all the EMFs, 5G, 6G. And I don't know if people understand this, but this higher and higher G, you might want to look into it. It's crazy shit. It's crazy shit what they're doing here, okay? And all of this technology, all of this stuff going on isn't for our benefit, okay? It's not for our benefit. And anyone who thinks it is, you'd be sleeping on the job, okay? So NASA steals all of our money for space exploration, but really, these fucking elite people who have their bunkers built all over the place have been looking for a way off this planet, okay? Now, they give us hints about this. Colonizing Mars, right? Do you really think they give a shit about humanity? These people don't give a shit about humanity. Look at the state of the world. They don't give a shit about humanity, okay? So, they have been looking for a way off the planet because they know it's coming, all right? And for any of you who've been paying attention, and I've been paying attention about 40 years, it's kind of a long time, all right? I was born pretty awake. And when I was about 18, I started to really see a lot of shit. And I've been paying attention ever since. And it's just to connect the dots. And it's a pretty smooth connect the dots too. It's not even hard to do, okay? So people don't see because they don't want to see, or they're not capable of seeing. And then there's people who are just willfully ignorant. They don't want to see it, and they're kind of like, hear no evil, see no evil, you know, that kind of thing. So there's kind of, you know, 3 different categories of people. 4 categories. The 4th category are people that are part of the problem. And the rest of the people are just the plebs, all right? They're just kind of like, you know, they're the ones being manipulated. And then you have the manipulators. So, if you were to look up all the shit that NASA's been doing with the genome research, because human DNA is naturally upgrading. It's going from 2 to 4 strands. The 2 strands is unfolding to 4. And guess what does that already? A lot of cancer cells, okay? And it baffles scientists why cancer cells would have this quadruple structure, because it is a primal survival mechanism, okay? And humans are actually going through, basically, I want to call it like a cancer adaptation, okay? We're not turning into a cancer in the sense of the way we've been trained to think about cancer, okay? And I do have a theory about cancer, and I don't think I'm going to have time to get into it in this video. And kind of some of the mechanisms there, and kind of putting it into a slightly different perspective. If human DNA, healthy human DNA, healthy cells, are going from 2 to 4 strands, and this is what they've been looking for years, and the Genome Project during the 90s was the major race. It was like the race was on. They were hunting all of this DNA all over the planet. And here we are. cancer is somehow tied into this, okay? And again, I know this might sound really crazy to some of you at this point, or make, you might think I'm crazy at this point, but believe me, I've got some data to back up what I think and what I say. It's just, I don't want to make this video 2 hours long, okay? So I'm going to try to skirt around the issue, and then I may make some videos about it a little bit later, all right? I've talked about it in some other videos, though. I do kind of throw it in here and there. So if human cells are going through this upgrade, and who knows how long it's been happening. I knew about it when I was 18, okay? As a matter of fact, I remember being a kid in science class, learning about human DNA, about it being 2 strands. And I remember saying out loud in class, I'm like, that's not true. I'm like, that's not true. I'm like, I have more than that. There was something so bizarre. Like, I don't know, I think some people did think I was crazy. And I'm like, no, that's a lie. That's not true. And of course my teacher would look at me like, huh? Like, no, it's 2 strands. And I said, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. And then they would talk about junk DNA. I'm like, nope, don't believe that. Don't believe that at all. And then they would talk about some other things. I'd be like, nope, don't believe it. And needless to say, I flunked science a couple of times before I went on to actually be a science major in college. Go figure, right? College is an interesting time because your frontal lobe is not fully developed yet and you're still really vulnerable. But I did learn some fundamental things, though, that have stuck with me, which has made it really easy for me to spot a lot of bullshit, because I actually remembered some of the stuff I learned, like what RNA does and why I wouldn't fuck with my RNA. I would never let anybody fuck with my RNA, okay? Because I know what RNA does. And I know if they're manipulating it in you, you can be fucked, okay? So let's just say that. So it's good to know some things, all right? So I'm going to do one more layer. So as my frontal lobe started to develop, I started to question a lot more. I also fell for a couple of, psyops and lies, because we didn't have the internet and stuff, right? Like, I didn't have a computer. I didn't get my first computer until I lived in this house, and I'm trying to think how old I was. Well, we bought this house at 24. When I was 24, my husband was 26, and I'm trying to think. I can't remember, but anyway, the only access I had to a computer when I was in college was the computer at school that I would go in and use, to do my work and stuff, but I didn't own a computer. So anyway, but this was when car phones were coming out and stuff like that. So I've known about this DNA thing for a very, very long time. And then when I actually read it in a scientific magazine back in 2020, July to be exact, they were saying that scientists have discovered it. Now, you can bet, I bet the bank, okay, that they're going to spin this as a bad thing. They're probably going to try to spin this that we need to take all of this shit to protect our DNA from damage. They're probably going to try to maybe blame it on the sun. I don't know. I mean, I can't really say that I know the narrative that they're going to spin out, but you can bet your bottom dollar that they are going to try to manipulate people into interfering with this natural upgrade that humans are going through, okay? And this is what a lot of the ancient indigenous people have talked about. They have talked about humanity going through an upgrade, humanity going through a transformative phase on the planet where the vibration and the frequency of the planet was going to change, and you can be sure that the system is somehow going to come in and save us from what is happening, okay? They might threaten nuclear fallout. They might threaten a nuclear war, which I don't believe we're going to have a nuclear war at all. If they actually came out and announced it, I would actually not do anything they recommended. I wouldn't. That's me. I wouldn't. because I don't trust anything they say. Nothing, zero. And I mean nothing, okay? No. So they're going to come out and say, oh, there's, the potential for nuclear war. Everybody has to take this stuff. I'm not taking it. I'm not taking it. Now, would I do high doses of iodine? I don't think I would do high doses of iodine. And you know why? When I started taking iodine for my health, and I wasn't even taking huge doses of it, I actually had some symptoms that were kind of unpleasant. So would I take a super large dose of iodine? I don't know. I have a sensitive body. I don't know. No, would I do it if the nuclear threat was legit and real? And if I didn't, it could likely kill me. I don't know. I just have to make a decision in the moment. But again, I don't trust these people. I don't trust these people at all. I don't know. But I wouldn't trust these people, put it that way. And I don't believe we're going to have a nuclear war anyway, because these people are so desperate to save themselves. Think about this for a second. They have bunkers underground. They're trying to find ways to get off this planet. So all the alien narrative, not aliens, propulsion scientists from NASA, okay? What do they call it? Breakthrough propulsion, right? Breakthrough propulsion. Breakthrough propulsion is aircrafts to be able to lift off the ground and go away into space, okay? That's what they've been experimenting with for years. So when you hear about Area 51 and you hear about alien sightings and you hear about all of this stuff, this is military shit. Think about it. We've got drones now. We've got all of this stuff, all of these satellites up in the sky. This is what they're doing. They're building their digital prison. The dome isn't about military missiles. That's a crock of shit, okay? It's all about trying to shield themselves from the radiation and the changes that are happening with the sun, okay? There's also changes happening through the Earth's magnetic field, okay? The Earth's magnetic field is weakening. The poles are shifting, and it's happening in very unpredictable ways. They're scrambling, let's just put it that way. And then you have the Schumann frequency that is spiking and doing all of these things that they've never seen before. And as they pump out more of their electromagnetic, dirty, toxic shit, the Earth is matching it. So there is kind of like a race, okay? Who do you think are gonna win? Or what do you think is gonna win? I'm betting on nature. I'm betting on the sun and the earth and what is happening, okay? I've posted on my community page a whole bunch of stuff that I think is really interesting reading. You might wanna go check it out, all about these topics. And what they're finding too is that there's vents in the ocean. There's actually heat coming out these vents, and it's warming the ocean from the bottom up. So it's not the global warming that we've been told. It's the literal warming up and the changing of the frequency of the planet. But yet other parts of the planet are actually cooling. So there's a rapid shift in the planet. We're going through a major transformational change, and then human DNA is actually naturally upgrading from 2 to 4 strands. They're probably going to play this off as it is a disease process to get you to take all of their shit, to keep you locked in the cage, okay? I can't convince anybody of this, nor would I ever try. If you don't feel it in the depths of your being, then you don't feel it, okay? I can't make someone feel it. If you know that big pharma, big government, NASA, the military, because they're all the same people, educational system, they're all the same people. If you know in your being that you can't trust them, then you can't trust them. Means you can't trust them for anything, okay? You can't trust them. So I don't know how they're going to play this. Are they going to play the alien card? Are they going to play the sun is dangerous card? Are they going to play, because they've already been doing it with the whole skin cancer thing. And again, the skin cancer topic goes off into deep rabbit holes. And again, I don't have time to get into it today. Okay, so there's a lot to this, and I know it's really overwhelming for people. So I would say go check out some of my posts, because when I post, I kind of binge post because I get into a stream of thought and then I just post a whole bunch of stuff. And what I like to do is I like to spit my thoughts out to AI. AI cleans it up for me, and then I can share it with you. And it just is a little more cohesive. Sometimes my thoughts are just really, really jumbled. And sometimes I know something, but I don't have a lot of details about it. So I'll put it in and then AI will give me more details about it, all right? And I want to talk about the whole biophoton thing. And again, I think this is the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with for now, because I'm already at 20 minutes. So I don't know if you're familiar with the med beds, but they're out. They're out. They're marketed as biophoton, I don't know, light machines or something like that. And they're actually like up on the surface of the planet now. So they're here. They're here. This isn't conspiracy anymore. It's here. Okay. And while they're not being marketed to heal everything, they are being marketed kind of like this light therapy. But keep in mind, light can heal you if it's from nature. Light can kill you, scramble your DNA, fuck you up, fuck your brain up, if the intention behind the light and the technology behind the light is not in alignment with this natural upgrade of what is happening on the planet. So if you think that a med bed is going to heal you, it may do something to your physical body that you like and appreciate. But what else is it doing to you? What else is it doing to you? It's kind of like cancer treatment, okay? It may kill your cancer and you may survive a little longer, but what else is it doing to you? What else is it doing to you? Because you have to understand, the people behind these technologies are operating out of a very, very malicious agenda, okay? They don't want people healed. They don't want people sovereign. They don't want people coming into their own power. They don't want that. They don't want the human body to be able to self-heal. Because if we were self-healing, the system would crumble. If we were self-navigating, the system would crumble. If we had strong internal navigational systems like birds and other animals, we wouldn't need the system. But they have convinced us and beat it out of us to be weak and dependent. And this is what the whole agenda has been for a very, very long time for humanity. Some say that we have fallen from the original humans, okay? And that the original humans were living in a much higher state, and then we've fallen, and then we were overtaken by these forces. Again, I'm not going to force any ideas or beliefs onto people. I'm just sharing perspectives. It's the one that I align with, because I always knew that this place was crazy, and I knew I didn't belong here, and I didn't know why I was here for the longest time. And then when I started to wake up and connect the dots, it actually made things even harder, because now I was more aware, and that was just terrible. And then I started to just have things happen in my life that started to get me to be like, oh, I'm pretty sure I'm going to witness a time when a lot of this is going to change, and it's going to get really bad before it gets better. But there is going to be a powerful change on this planet. And I think nature is going to give us a dose of some things that are going to start to break down the system and unlock it and kind of open up space and create a new reality and a new pathway for those who feel the call. So I know I've talked about a lot. I could go into detail on each piece of it, but I'm not going to right now. I could tie in CERN, and I could tie in a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm trying to not, be too overwhelming with this video. I'm really here to just tell you to go read some of my posts from yesterday, all right? Go read some of the posts on my community page. I talk about some of this stuff, and it gives a little more information and how the scientists tie into this. It's interesting stuff, Okay? Signing out.